Neither did the officer sought approval from those who were present and could have given that approval. The systems were there, whether or not I am here, and they were not complied with.
Mr. Thomas from the Ministry of Finance.
Thank you, Chair. The Ministry of Finance is a little bit concerned in terms of there are systems that were implemented through circulars, and there was an electronic system, the government financial management system, that should at least assist in ensuring that at least a particular level compliance is being made when payments are to be done. So I just want to understand that in terms of the requirement is that a commitment requisition is done prior to any form of payment is to be done. A program manager must be the responsible officer that will sign off that commitment requisition to give the go-ahead to even start to communicate with any external person or personnel. So I just want to understand, at what point was the deviation made? Is it that no commitment requisition was signed and no go-ahead was given to the officer to approach a supplier? And then when payments are to be made, it's clearly outlined, the process flow clearly outlines that a commitment must be done in the actual application, which must be certified, authorized, and updated. That's even before payments start to be made, to ensure that monies are available and we're not spending where we don't have any funds. After the commitment is done, then invoices should be coming in. When the invoice comes in, there is a need to certify that, or to sign on that invoice, that goods were satisfactorily received or services satisfactorily rendered. So I'm trying to understand at this point in time, what took place here, or what was the contract, or what was the bill, or what was the supporting document that was being used to measure what is being paid against what was being requested. I kind of want to hear what happened here, because the Ministry of Finance really want to assist in ensuring that the policies can be strengthened. So I want to understand, was it a total circumventing of not only the policy but actually the system as well? Or I just want to understand how it works so we can strengthen the policy. Because it did say when we are certifying a transaction, we just want to ensure that the system that is available to the entity right now, it can work, because if it can't work, then the same thing will happen again. So the ministry wants to strengthen. So I just want to bring to the floor, Chair, that these procedures are in place. So I'm not understanding where the breach took place. I want to understand so we can guide. As the Ministry of Finance, we can provide proper guidance. So if that clarity could be made, the Ministry of Finance would be comforted to provide the guidance required.
What's the point of order? What's the point of order? What's the point of order, Member?
I am raising a point of order, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman. Yeah. I thought I heard my colleague said something, so I was waiting. Anyway, the question I want to ask, the gentleman is from Ministry of Finance?
Yes, Mr. Thomas.
You're giving clarity, you're giving us some clarification, or you're asking some questions?
He was asking. He made a statement and he asked some questions.
Is he here in the capacity to question the officer, or is he here to give us guidelines?
but he can, if there's a particular issue, as the Ministry of Finance.
Mr. Chairman, I'm asking through you to the gentleman, is he here to ask questions or to give clarity and clarification to matters that may arise that may be confusing to the members of the committee? No, not you. Not you, cousins. You're not the chairman.
Yeah, but I'm answering. He has the right here to ask a question to seek clarity. He's representing the Ministry of Finance. He elucidated on his point, but I don't see anything that is out of the norm in terms of what he asks. No, he can ask a question. The Ministry of Finance is here. Their responsibility is to be the stewards of the finances of the country. If they see something or hear something which seems to deviate from process, he has the right to ask that. And he has done so. And I do think he should be answered. I don't see anything improper about what he has asked.
If I may, he also indicated that he wants to assist.
Yeah.
You understand, to
Yeah.
ensure that there's not a repeat of what transpired. So I don't see anything
Yeah,
wrong
yeah.
with that.
I don't either. Okay. All right. All right. Madam AG, you wanted to say something on this particular point? Members, please, hold on, Helen. Press your mic, AG. All right, members, please. Madam AG, press, yes, go
Yes,
ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to
Shh, members.
provide information based on the clarification requested by the Ministry of Finance, and I'll refer you to page 41 of 4.27.
Cousins.
Yes, page 41 of 49.
Of your report,
Yes,
yeah, go
of the
ahead.
report. Paragraph 4.27. And I'm going to read from the second sentence. In relation to this specific matter, the absence of a signed contract by both parties may prevent HOP from enforcing any claims. So we're reiterating that there was no contract in place. And we went on to say that also the required purchase order was not submitted, and the required written attestation from the commitment control officer that the funds were provided and are available for the specific purpose of the proposed expenditure was not presented.
Understood. Members, are there?
Yes, in relation to the motor vehicle accident. Oh, you're moving to another point now.
No, you can ask your
Yeah,
question.
sure. In relation to the motor vehicle accident, what is the status of the settlement offer? One must read this.
I know, just help everybody and tell us where you're from.
What page? I don't look for the something, man. In relation to the motor vehicle accident, what is the status of the settlement offer? Because I see where it was indicated that by September 9th, there would be a recommendation and proposed steps. I've looked at the response from the House of Parliament, and that was omitted in the response. Also, the accident occurred in July 2024. There was no legislative council until September 2025. When was the settlement offer made, and wasn't there any acting legislative council between that time and September that would have allowed us to address this matter? Why would we have to wait until all the way in September of the next year for this matter to be addressed? I find that concerning.
All right, the Auditor General wants to say something on this point.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Chairman, because by way of correction, the clerk indicated that she did engage legal counsel, and had provided information that I believe would have been overlooked by us. Because having reviewed this package yesterday, we saw an email thread where she referred the matter to the legal counsel. And I gather that it's by that email that she's saying that she referred it. The challenge is that in responding, the specific correspondence was not referred to and was overlooked when reviewed. So we are satisfied that a referral was made as far back as September, I believe, 2024. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so I'm being instructed by the legal counsel that we are waiting an update from Toyota Jamaica to receive the estimate before we can accept it.
Member Cousins, you heard? You heard the answer?
I heard the answer, but I saw an estimate on the file from Toyota Jamaica already. Is
An
it that you need an updated
updated
estimate?
one.
Thank you.
Our members, are there any other questions for the Houses of Parliament? Okay.
One final question for me, Mr. Chair. The issue was raised of the non-submission of the appropriations accounts for about 5 to 6 years. I will not belabor the point in terms of understanding from the Parliament level why that was not done, because it's clear in terms of the processes, inadequacies of the processes. But my question would be to the Minister or the Ministry of Finance in terms of oversight, because the appropriations accounts, in a sense, ensures that the agencies and ministries are adhering to the fiscal spend and the budgetary allocations of the government. So where we are not getting that from any agency, and it's repeated, 5, 6 years, would not the Ministry of Finance, because there's not a board that oversees the Parliament's operations to detect that, would not the Ministry of Finance be observing that? And why wouldn't they have raised that as an issue before the auditors would have come to identify that as a finding?
Well, before I invite the Minister of Finance, let me say, Member Brown, it is a chronic issue, and coming out of the Auditor General's annual report, you'll see a number of ministries, departments, and agencies that are way behind. And in fact, that's the discussion we're going to go to next. But what I would ask the Houses of Parliament to do is to give us an update as to a timeline by which you intend to bring the accounts up to date so that we know we can hold you to that particular time frame. And then I'll invite Ms. Blake to comment.
Okay, so Mr. Chair, I was just informed by our Director of Procurement that their branch is awaiting the terms of reference from the Principal Finance Officer because we have decided that we perhaps should get an external consultant to come in to prepare those back or outstanding reports, which is an inheritance from yeah, so we are in the procurement process to ensure that those reports are brought up to date.
All right, what I'm going to ask you, because I know you can't give me the answer to date, that by next week, in writing, you provide to the clerk a time frame for the procurement of the accounting services, and then what is the time frame? I don't know if it's 5 or 6 years that you have outstanding. You have to give us a date by which you believe you'll bring those accounts up to date. All right?
I understand the corrective measures with the procurement of an external team to deal with it. But is it that the Parliament does not have the capacity? So once this is fixed, will we then be able to, going forward, have the requisite capacity to
do it on our own?
Yeah.
Based on instructions received from the Principal Finance Officer, is that they are continuing to do the work to bring the reports up to date currently, and the consultant will focus on the legacy backlogs that we have inherited. Thank you.
All right, I wanted to allow either Ms. Blake or Member Seabright, if you could just release your mic so I can allow. Yes, go ahead.
With respect to the financial statements, especially the appropriations accounts, the Ministry of Finance does have serious concerns. What the Ministry of Finance does on a monthly basis, it sends out a rating sheet to all entities outlining whether or not they are outstanding, and if they are far outstanding, they would have been issued with a letter indicating that they are outstanding, and also for them to state to the ministry what are the challenges and what are the things that will be put in place to ensure that these statements are up to date. Each year, the Ministry of Finance outlines the concerns and stands ready to partner with the Accountant General's Department if it's a case where training is needed to get the officers up to speed or whatever it is to have the statements done. So it's not that the Ministry of Finance is not aware, it's just sometimes the entities are just not responsive.
Member Seawright, you had a comment or?
Yeah, just wanted to point out, Mr. Chairman, that I think we should commend the staff of Parliament for addressing some of the deficiencies highlighted in the Auditor General's report. Clearly, there is no case of systemic fraud or any deliberate wrongdoing by the institution. And clearly, some of these issues have gone on for many years. And I see definitely a clear and coordinated effort to address the issue systematically, and they deserve commendation for doing just that. Thank you.
Okay. Member Morrison.
Thank you, Chair. And what we would not want to see is a headline that says that the FOM was on a frolic of his own. We don't want to see that. Member Bunting used the word expedience, and I think that this is, we just want to, I certainly want to put it out there that this is a classic case of what happened in that instance, and also that this highlights that the thresholds that existed, they were really outdated, they were impossible to work with, but the Auditor General, I'm sure she will say notwithstanding that. So we are actually happy that there is indeed an increase in the threshold that allows us to reasonably, and especially in this time when we know that the costs are very different from the decades ago when those measures were in place. It was virtually impossible to do business. And finally, I want to say, Chair, that it should come out very clearly that the systems in Parliament, the systems of controls and accountability, that they are in place. And what needs to happen is that they need to be properly utilized and observed. Thank you, Madam AG.
Madam AG, you wanted to comment here?
Right, I think the member addressed it with respect to the increase in the threshold. I'm an accounting officer, so of course I would appreciate that increase as well, because I do sit on the other side, as well as being Auditor General. I just want to reinforce, and the member did speak to that a part of the issue was not just the threshold being breached, but the fact that the fiduciary responsibility was not evident. The fact is that the government, because it is the government that was committed, albeit it's $3.2 million, but there was no action to ensure that even funds were available. Well, there's no evidence that that was done before committing the government, and that is very important as a part of the stewardship responsibility for all heads of agencies. Thanks.
All right, thank you, members. So I'm going to close, and I'll release the staff and thank the staff from the Houses of Parliament. Members, we're just going to, so you can exit. Members, we're just going to have a quick discussion on the annual report, and if members I have some areas that I believe we need to probe further, but I would invite members if there are any specific areas that you believe. I will start. Well, the Ministry of Health will be coming here to deal with the university hospital, right? But there is still a significant backlog in terms of the outstanding appropriation accounts. The Ministry of Local Government, that has responsibility for parish councils, there is a chronic issue there with the absence of appropriation accounts. We had the Ministry of Local Government last year, I believe. They gave some commitments in terms of timeframes to bring the accounts up to date, but based on the Auditor General's report, I don't believe we are making progress as quickly as we should. So I certainly believe the Ministry of Local Government should be invited back. The Ministry of Health will come. I also believe the Ministry of Agriculture should be invited. There was a specific issue raised, and in relation to fertilizers, I think they should be invited here on that particular issue. But I would invite members, if there are any coming out of the annual report, if there are specific MDAs that you believe need to be invited to elucidate on issues that arose. Yes, Member
Chairman,
Cousin.
the National Land Agency.
Okay.
I've noted in the report that there are some deficiencies with them accounting. So I think they should be invited to present themselves for us for some further.
Okay, NLA, okay. Member Bunton?
Separate from those identified in the Auditor General's report, there's a general lack of observation. If you go to the Cabinet Office website, it lists all or at least the last annual report that was presented to Cabinet for various agencies or government entities. And so, for example, I quoted last week in Parliament, NEPA. A key agency like NEPA has not reported to Parliament from 2015, 2016. Just, you know, how do we continue to accept this just lack of compliance with the law? Because I'm sure in the law that establishes the National Environmental and Planning Agency requires current reporting, but yet they're 10 years behind. There doesn't seem to be any sanction for it. You know, in fact, you struggle to find one entity in that long list published by the Cabinet Office that is current in its reporting obligations. As a matter of fact, it's just everyone is behind, but to what degree? You know, some are 3, some are 5, some are 10 or more years behind. And I just wonder, is there no penalty? Is there no enforcement? Is there no way we can bring those relevant accounting officers to book for their non-compliance with the law?
That's an important point. It's the same issue with you have raised the annual reports, the same issue with the appropriation accounts. The accounting officers have been here. They have highlighted some of the challenges, transactions that might have predated their own incumbency and the reluctance of current officers to sign off on things. There was an opinion sought from the Attorney General's department because there was a reluctance of officers to sign up on things 10 years in the arrears because they didn't want to be held accountable for stuff they didn't know. But it is a general problem that is across the board. There are some entities that are doing better than others, but you are correct that we shouldn't accept as the norm the level of delinquency that exists. And it's for ministries, departments, agencies, and it's I wonder, just following up on what you have said, Member Bunting, whether it would be the Cabinet Office or an appropriate body that should be invited here to have a discussion about that, because there are genuine challenges that exist for some of the entities, personnel, lack of appropriate personnel, other things. And I think it's important that this committee probes that particular issue, both for the annual reports and the absence of the appropriation accounts in many cases. And the appropriation accounts is pretty bad because you're just unable to provide an opinion on the state of the entity without those accounts. And in many cases, in parish councils, they just don't have the records, which is even more concerning. So I would, as a committee, I think we should invite, whether it's the cabinet officer or the appropriate entity, to look at that. Is there any other business, members? No? We will confirm the date of the next meeting. I just want to bring your attention to the status report, which indicates the deadline that we have asked entities to provide their responses by. And once those have been received, we will schedule meetings shortly thereafter. Can I have a motion for the adjournment? Moved by Clark, seconded by Cuthbertman. Thank you very much, members.
On Jamaica's development, tune in to the post-cabinet press briefings, Wednesdays live at 9 a.m. with a rebroadcast at 9 p.m. right here on PBCJ, the People's Station.
Cook it up and make we steam it. Fresh so me need it, tilapia a real fish. Cook it up and make we roast it. Farm fresh so me need it, tilapia a real fish. Grow smart at the best part. Food for thought so me have to eat smart. Easy catch, fully net. A tilapia so you don't know what's next. Cook it up and make we fry it. Fresh so me need it, tilapia a real fish. Bring home the best in freshwater fish. High content of vitamin B3, protein and potassium. Tilapia, simple, healthy, delicious. What a flow, what a flow. What a flow, what a flow. Come on. What a flow, what a flow. What a flow, what a flow. The water put it just like a freestyle. The lifeblood flowing mile by mile. It's legacy, a beat that don't stop like Bob Marley said. One love on top. The sewage water out of sight, but it's always wrong, don't lose the light. From factories and wells so deep, corals, mangroves and fish they weep. Green water for the garden, keep it green. Save the cash and the earth gets clean. We use the water with a mindful mind. It's out of sight but never far behind. In nature, the answers always flow. Like water running pure, the cycle grows. It renews itself, same drop, same beat. It's all good, man, you got the heat. Water flow. No clean water, no pipes we grow. Protect our water, protect our future.
Time to go.
Greetings, Jamaica and reggae lovers worldwide. Welcome to our coverage of Jamaica Reggae Month 2026. I'm your host, Bree, and we're coming to you with Reggae This Week, a week-by-week itinerary as we kick off this spectacular month-long celebration of our island's greatest cultural export. This year's theme, come catch the rhythm, and trust me, we have a rhythm for everyone this February. Before we move forward, let's rewind to Reggae Month 2025. What a celebration that was. Last year, we saw a record-breaking attendance at the Young Reggae Ambassadors, which was a spectacular event filled with performances that brought together legends
tell you thanks for coming on
one